in the room up there.
That's
Don't be scared. Mason, is that your papa? Is that your papa? Do you love your papa? That's a good boy.
Santa, I think your elf's bringing your gifts down.
Yes. I just stopped by to take a breather. Just stopped by to take a breather and say hello to everybody.
Santa.
Thank you. Rick, you've been a good boy for a long time.
Somebody's trying to say hi to you, Santa.
Who's wanting to say hi to me? Come here.
Okay, am I going to get everybody's picture taken?
Oh, yes.
Go up by Santa Claus.
What a good boy.
Go up by Santa Claus.
Don't be
Go up
scared.
by Santa. Jordan. Miranda.
Dallas.
Go up by Santa.
Don't grab Santa's hair. You were about to say wrong.
Jordan, get around Santa. Dallas, get around Santa. We'll take your picture.
Get around.
Where's Mason? Mason, go up by Santa. Dallas, come
Come here,
here.
Miranda.
Let me take your picture.
Miranda, come here. Doesn't Miranda want to
This is a beautiful
Dallas, get up there, Miranda.
Dallas,
I
go
believe
sit
that.
by Santa.
Doesn't Miranda want to sit by her dad?
Who's your heat and air man? This thing works really well in here.
It is.
The fire, Santa.
Santa Claus.
The fire's really cranking out.
Say cheese.
Mason, do you go sit with Santa?
You just with Santa?
Get that. Hey, Sam, get one. Get one.
I'd like to get everybody, including Mason.
We'll take a group shot.
How do you do that when you can't get even over there?
Thank you.
All right.
That's Santa.
Ow!
You better not be mean to Santa. He might
Easy.
Anyway, you can get,
Presents for people.
Quieten down, Santa. Quieten down, Santa.
anyway, Lori, to get Mason in there.
Miranda, come over here and stand by Grandma.
Cheese. Logan. Logan, say cheese.
Come here, Miranda.
How does he know my name? There you go.
Well, I think Santa has some gifts there for everybody.
Oops, just a minute.
My big.
All right,
Anybody
Mason.
know the song, The Fire is Burning?
Mason.
Yeah. Jingle bells, fire
There's one more, just a minute.
Cheese.
What about the old song, I Fell Into a Ring of Fire?
That makes Santa's getting hot.
Grandma got ran over by a reindeer. That's so funny.
That wasn't any of my team.
One a pencil.
Austin. I hope that don't break my camera.
You ain't getting nothing for Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Can you talk a little louder?
I think Santa has some gifts he wants to give out.
Yes.
Ooh, boy. Santa brought
Here,
some
Santa.
presents.
Ready, Grandma?
Boys.
A couple of them were mean to Santa. So
What do we got here?
It's like being at home. I make you feel at
Is
home.
there a tyranny around here?
Right here.
Tyranny.
Take it right here.
Tyranny, you've got 2 seconds or I'm going to put it back in the bag. Oh, there you are.
Kind
What
of
else we got here?
a Santa
Little
Elvis.
Maverick? Maverick, there you go. Is there a Logan?
Right
There's my little Logan.
Look up, Santa. Let me get a good close up.
Okay, thank you.
Who's this?
Britley.
Britney Spears. No, I believe this one says Miranda. Is there a Miranda? There you are.
Mom, look.
What about a Mason?
Did you get one, Mason? Good toy.
Dallas. It looks like I'm going to go to Dallas, Texas.
What'd you get, Mason?
anybody? Oh. Oh, there. I haven't missed anybody. There's a Jordan.
Well, Santa, we know you're busy.
Yeah.
The one on the floor.
I dropped one on the floor. Holy cow.
He doesn't get one.
Oh. Yes, this must have been a mistake. Austin, I know for a fact that boy was on my naughty list.
Austin, Texas.
There you go.
Well, thank you, Santa.
Thanks, Santa, for coming.
You're welcome.
Everybody give Santa a hug. He's got to go.
You guys go to sleep tonight? No. See you in your dreams.
Bye-bye, Santa.
Good looking Santa.
Bye, little man. Love you.
It's awesome.
Jordan, did you get Santa a hug?
Yeah.
Goodbye, little girl.
That's a train.
See ya. Give me the ball. All right.
Okay, Mary. When I'm at your house, I have to play in-law.
Bye, Santa.
You have to give out gifts and pick up trash. That's what your family does to me. Now, come on.
I was wondering if we could
Merry Christmas.
slowly open up this chair.
Bye-bye.
We watch each other.
Rudolph, get out here.
Take all night. Mom, do you want to
Stay down here. Stay down here. Stay down here.
leave this Santa alone? He's got to hurry. It is Christmas Eve, you know.
Yeah, he's got
Mom, do you want to do your presents, Santa, or what do you want to do?
Also wanted to get a watch. Let me see. Whoa,
I've got some trash bags. There's a black one over there. I'll get all this. Just go ahead.
Miranda, presents.
Miranda.
You got a whole bunch more stuff.
Oh, look at that fire.
Let me just tell her you're not interested when you go home.
Maverick, you got a present. Grandma has a present for you.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Can you say ho ho?
Did you see him when you were up there? Was he on the roof?
Santa was on the roof.
Hope he didn't fall with all that snow.
I think he scratched my Jeep.
Wow, Mason.
When your Grandpa McGee was a young boy, and all of his friends were out running around and having a good time, you know where your Grandpa McGee used to go? He used to go up to the hospital where the little children's ward was and read stories to them. Now, do you think that Jesus would like that? He sure would. So you remember that your Grandpa McGee was a pretty good boy.
You're talking about my grandpa, right?
That's what I was wondering. Which grandpa
Those are
did you?
polio kids.
You mean Dad did that?
I'd say my grandma McGee had something to do with that.
One little boy, when he got well, his mom lived in Marshall or someplace. She was too poor to even come and visit him. And she asked me if we'd
Do you have a sack I can put my stuff in?
Yeah, you want another one of those black bags or something?
Little one will be good. Okay.
He had several
Is
others,
that big enough?
and he was in there for so long, that one kid, that, he had to learn to walk all over again and everything.
Now I want to tell you one about it.
Now let's hear a true story.
This is a true story. And his daddy and mama was there. He came in and he said, I was in the kitchen. He said,
Here, go listen to Grandpa White.
Get married. I said, don't even think about it. That piece of Grandpa McGee said, did you hear him? Don't even think about it till after she's through with school. He said, okay.
Was that high school or college?
So they waited.
Whoa! What is that?
Look out!
Ow!
Dang it.
Look out!
I'm gonna kill you, Austin. This is me.
Here, get Robbie.
If it only had something that was louder.
Merry Christmas.
Maybe mine, but I don't. Yeah, I have these in my room. My car. My car. No, watch that. My car. Look like this? Yeah. Okay. I got it.
Have to with this hair.
Just remember, you chose.
Yeah.
That's right.
Of your son, oh Mary, it's my brother. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more.
Jordan.
Be together if the things allow. Hang a shining star on the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
Really?
Let your heart be light. From now on, the troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide. From now
like the ones I used to know. Oh yeah, memories. Yeah, here comes listen and children. Listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow. With every Christmas card I write, there's a baby
Are you leaving? What's this? Tierney!
Whoa, look at that top light. I read that from you. Santa.
Merry Christmas.
All right, toothpaste.
Whoa! 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 I got this cup, Mom. These are not real, but I got this. Yeah. Whoa! Green and
Ooh, that's cool.
two gum. What is this? Mom, I got gum.
Oh, it looks like a game.
I bet this is some clothes. I know it. I could got it. Here's socks.
Ooh,
That
socks.
socks. That sockies.
Oh, those are the kind you like. Looks like tight ones. What's that?
What? What's what?
What is that?
This?
Mm-hmm.
Flashing.
Oh, floss? What about this?
Jelly bellies.
Cool.
Let me see it. This is
Okay, I think that's meant for you, Jordan, right there.
I know what it is.
You do?
I like it.
No.
I can't open my
Okay, let's wait. You know what? You've got a couple presents right there too, Logan. Oh, just what you asked for.
My big present. Oh, get off there. Get off. What will we get? Whoa.
I think Logan. What'd you get, Logan?
He asked for, huh? That's mine. A scooter. I'll give you guys, that's mine. Yeah. Not his.
Is that yours, not his?
That's my,
Well, maybe Santa thought you guys could share that.
he's a little too little.
Is he a little bit too little?
You have to be age 5 and up. That's what Austin told me. I open your scooter for you. We should just keep this over here. I opened Jordan's scooter.
Well, I think you could ride it too, darling.
You have to be 5 and up.
You've got some presents too over there.
I don't think I don't think it fit me.
You don't?
Look. I should have told him my size. No, what a present.
thinking that might be Daddy's.
I'll open it for you, Daddy.
Okay.
Like Logan told me. Whoa! Dad! It's what you wanted!
Alright.
Whoa!
Now I won't be as fat.
Now you can exercise. And you're done by, you know you were done.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna have 2 kids. Mom, look, I got new juice too.
You did?
Yeah! You have to. So you can keep that money.
Alright. That's fun.
Coffee. This sounds terrible.
Are you okay?
Poor Jordan.
Whoa! You got a new TV.
Alright. Yeah.
What are these?
Great.
I think that's for you, Logan. Looks like
Daddy got hits.
Sounds
That's
like
all
fun.
the presents.
Is that for you, Daddy? Or is that for
I
Logan?
think that's Logan's.
Oh, I can't get the
Everybody say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Oh my! He couldn't even diet because he can't even keep his diet.
So we're going to be really careful on it, and we're not going to go down the driveway.
If he's gonna play, he has to go like this. He has to do this. Right? He has to keep his butt out here. Mom, I found
Okay.
cheese. Whoa! Lightning! What I've always wanted!
The tornado twister.
Tornado twister! I saw it on TV and I love it. It's so cool. Whoa!
Good. I'm glad you like it.
Me!
Well, Logan, what is that?
This is a good news. Hey, Logan, it's a dump truck tractor. Yeah, it's a dump truck tractor. Yep, my dump truck tractor is. No, Logan, if we share it, and I'll share this with you if you share that with me.
Okay, hey Jordan, let's not get all that out right now. Let's go ahead and open presents.
All I got for Christmas, it's a box. It's a box. It's a box. What's in it? What is it? Whoa! Whoa! Daddy, look.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
What is it? What is it?
Logan, is this your tractor you've been wanting to
Oh, it's a
open?
dump truck tractor.
Wow.
Yeah, it's my dump truck tractor.
That's awesome.
Here you go.
You like that?
Logan, that's Daddy, that's Daddy. Dad, thank you. Santa present. This is for all of us. This is for all of us.
Okay, you can open it. Who's it from? From Ross.
Yeah, I thought you wanted that.
Oh, yeah.
Another one. Another
Yes.
one. Whoa, jelly.
Throw the old one away?
Some yummy jelly, Daddy. Look, we got some yummy jelly.
Let's see that.
Who's that from?
Roll.
Yummy.
Hey, here's another one, mine. What's mine? Not a present. It's a box.
Jordan, I'll help you find it.
It's a book. It's a book, Mama.
What is it? Let me see the front of it, hon.
Set, go.
The front of it?
Whoa! I opened this one for Santa.
Cool.
Oh, look at that is. Yeah.
Is it battery operated then?
Oh, yeah. Pig.
Logan, what'd you get?
Pig.
You like it?
Yeah.
Press there.
Well, here's two of mine. I push it.
Mm. He needs a hug.
Some are flash.
Yeah, this one for Jordan.
Yay. And I got this like you. I got this like Jordan. There's another one. Yep. It's a movie. It's a movie.
It is a movie.
What is it? What movie?
Dr. Doolittle.
Oh, cool.
That's the funniest movie ever.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I don't think
Remember
I've
when
seen
we
it.
saw
I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah.
To the McGee's. You can open it.
A Christmas Carol. Oh, that's awesome.
I gotta open.
We should open that for last night.
Okay, here's my little bear one.
Tetris. Logan, Jordan, Tetris. Nintendo Tetris.
Oh, I had that game on, you know, the shooting one. Now I got it on this one.
What are you saying to Mimi?
Now we can play this.
Yes.
What's this for? That
What is
wasn't
it?
mine. I'll open it for you.
Okay.
Ooh, a rose. That'd be nice.
Hey, now you both got rose. You both got rose.
Oh, that's neat. Is that Logan? Logan, he's up on that your last one.
What's in this?
I don't know.
Logan's open that for you.
Oh.
Jordan, don't use your teeth, okay?
It's a rug. A cool rug. Yeah, cool rug.
Maybe Daddy can help you.
We want a cool rug. I guess so, all right. A rug. This is mine. Oh, it's actually a car mat. Okay, that's... Whoa! Look, Dada, look you got. Dad, can you help me with this?
What are you doing? Opening my gifts.
Huh? Daddy, can you help me with
See
that?
if we can slide it out.
It's a car mat. Dad, get that tape off there. Get that tape off there. Hey, you. Hey, you. I'll open you, give it to you. I am. Whoa, what do you got?
Logan, who's that from? What is it?
Money. Whoa. Whoa. I'll do this one. Whoa. What's it? Whoa.
All right, who wants to be a millionaire?
What is it? Big one.
From Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? That movie? I mean, that TV show, you know?
Oh, Dad. Me and you can play this. Who wants to be a millionaire?
Yeah.
We can play it.
Fun.
Come on.
Who's that
It's
from?
mine.
Mimi.
What is it? Mine. Mine. Yeah. Mommy, look what you got. You can wear these with your robe.
Mary.
Got her name on it.
I got one more, Mary.
Anybody want to give me a contribution? I'm accepting.
Okay, here.
Oh, Mom,
Let's
look.
see if I can hit it.
Set it. You got it in the
Name on it.
That's all more fun if you don't get hit when somebody's playing basketball.
Where'd you get that?
I didn't break it.
Riches.
What'd you get, Logan? A remote control.
I love that.
Uncle Tim. Rex. What'd you see?
Who made this?
Tim will wear it.
It's a ball.
Okay, Wendy.
Hey, wait.
There's a hole. We're gonna sing some carols for a minute.
Alright, it's out.
They never let poor Rudolph join in reindeer day. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him, as he shouted out with glee, yippee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you go down in history.
Open that right now.
Okay, look, Dallas, come here. Come here. Dallas is going to start us out with the first line, and then everybody else join in. Be quiet so you can hear him.
This is about Winnie the Pooh.
Let earth receive her king. Let every heart prepare him room. And when nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. Thank you. What'd you do? Major's bird. Long lay the world in sin and never parting, till he appeared, the soul found its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks the new and glorious morn. On your knees, the angel voices when Christ was born.
Oh, sorry.
Here's one.
Oh, yeah.
Courtney, sing the first verse of Silent Night for us, and then we'll jump in the second. Yes, you do.
Come on. Sing for your own wedding.
Innocence of tender and mild, sleeping heavenly sleep, sleeping Okay.
Let's sing in, sing first.
Reindeer paws, out jumps good old Santa Claus, down chimney with Saint Nick. First comes the stocking of little Tierney. Oh, now Santa farewell.
You doing that?
Going haywire.
Hi, kids.
Santa Claus.
Can you put this trash behind you?
Hi, Santa Claus.
Oh, Merry Christmas, kids.
Oh my goodness!
Santa Claus is here.
Yes, have a seat. You can say hi to the kids.
I want to sit on your lap. No, you don't.
Are you gonna come up and say
Hey, my
something to
Santa Claus.
Santa?
Cody, go sit on Santa.
I'll take a new car if he's giving that easy.
What you want, Maverick?
Tell Santa what you want.
Jody missing.
Can you tell him what you want?
Come on, you, son.
Did you talk to Santa Claus?
You know what I want for Christmas?
What's that?
I don't know. What will you give me?
Bag of switches.
Yes! Will you make it fiery?
Yeah.
Give him a sack of coal.
Who's next?
You. Never again.
That's already getting hot. I'll pull your foot
Santa
back.
Claus.
I'm a very good kid.
Cody, you want to come say hi to Santa?
Come here, Cody.
Go say hi to Santa. Cody, go say hi to Santa. Go say hi to Santa. I'm gonna give you this. Say hi to Santa.
Come here, Cody. Come sit on that.
Yes, you do.
Go tell him what you want. Jordan, you want to sit on his lap and tell him what you want?
There we go. There we go. Come to the left. Cody, sure you don't want that? Boom. Are you sure? This is good.
Maverick.
Santa's got those
I kind of scared him last year.
He's got the perfect eyes for Santa.
Carrot, carrot,
I
saw Grandma kissing Santa Claus.
Austin.
How about that?
Next to the
There's a Kodak
tree
moment.
so bright.
Yeah, Sam.
I thought we don't want to sit down. Under your chair.
Okay, you're sitting on the roof right now. I'll give it to you next year.
Hey, Santa. Hey, what do you want to say? Dog Roy for next year.
Oh, come on, Brad.
So we can get your picture.
Come on, your daddy has a picture taken with Santa Claus till he was 30.
Maverick will say hi to him again.
Hey, Maverick.
What? All right, I'm taking one. Give him a hug.
You give me a hug?
I promise to be good all year long till next Christmas.
But I can't say that.
Down in front, Grandpa.
Bye, Santa.
Got one picture.
Oh, no.
Come on, Fred.
Oh, looks like Grandma's car, huh?
One thing out of the earring thing.
Hey, Jordan.
Is
Is that like Grandma's car?
What's that for?
He was getting picture. I think she snagged that.
What's that game you got?
Austin, find out what it is.
Bible game.
Austin.
Okay, so
Open it up some. We might have the same thing.
don't look that way.
What is it?
Wow.
Open
Yeah, it
it.
doesn't come off this. You know that.
It's just a trophy. You don't play with it.
You take the tape off of it.
What's it? What is it? Zero crap.
That's a good one.
There he is, our Santa Claus this year.
Oh, hold on. somebody give you someone else's present?
Looks like you bought a belly or something. Do you have that on too?
Oxygen. I got
Should get a bigger one, I guess. Did Rob have it on last time?
It doesn't have to.
Was it a big rubber piece or something?
Trina.
Oh my gosh!
Thank you, though.
That's why I like to have more than one
That is a full-length motion picture.
Everybody looking at Fanny. Everybody looking at Fanny. Tell her get in here.
Directors and producers today.
Get in here.
Donna, what are you doing for your 4 inch?
Hey, that was funny.
Did you all hear that I stole my wallet?
It's in case any of us get put in jail, you know how to find us.
Apparently your mom's gonna be first.
That's right.
Stealing the coin.
No kidding.
Dad, this is precious. You better stop it.
It is. It's a trophy. Let me see it. But you have to get a screwdriver to get it off. It's just to look at.
It's a model.
It's a model. See, it has a little plaque. You can put it up on your desk to look at. Except for we don't want this kind of car in our family.
I
You do? No.
do. I wouldn't take it off if I were you.
We can get you a Honda when you get older.
This is what I told Austin. I wouldn't take it off.
It's a Jeep.
A van.
You want to get a van?
Yeah, you need
Hot
this one first.
You have to ask Grandpa White for a screwdriver.
I always keep it. Is that recording that radio's on?
Probably.
I got that. Is it?
Yep.
It's recording like that?
Yep.
It looks nice. Did you make those presents?
Yes.
Give me this.
I almost said something.
Why does it look Did I get any presents while I was gone?
Wendy, just so you know,
Wine rack.
I got one too.
Did he really make it?
Did you really?
Put 2 liter pops in it, I guess.
It's your car, Jordan.
Dad, I have a good idea.
Shovel, Jordan. Your shovel.
My shovel?
You know, some other group of advisors that were working, or some kitchen cabinet, or some process that was not part of the defined process at the White House.
Unknown to them, Clinton had an old trick up his sleeve. At times of trouble in his career, one wily operative had successfully guided Clinton back to the political center. Because this man was a mercenary with no party loyalty, Clinton knew he would have to seek his counsel in secret.
From his point of view, he had a liberal Democratic staff that disapproved of everything I would urge, and he wasn't about to announce me with great fanfare if I wasn't able to really make the grade and give him advice that was effective. So both of us were sort of having a trial marriage, and we both figured it was better for me to be involved secretly, so I made up a code name, Charlie.
Charlie. First time I ever saw the word Charlie was on a little yellow Post-it note on the president's desk next to his phone saying Charlie called. That's how I need to sort of file it away.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
At the height of West Wing gossip about Charlie's identity, the president delivered this State of the Union speech.
If we agree on nothing else tonight, we must agree that the American people certainly voted for change in 1992 and in 1994.
Much to the staff's surprise, Clinton told them he had written this speech himself, and it was different in tone, in its agenda.
Let us put aside partisanship and pettiness and pride. As we embark on this new course, let us put our country first, remembering that regardless of party label, we are all Americans.
In truth, Clinton had a ghostwriter. He and Charlie had written much of the speech in secret up in the private residence on the 3rd floor of the White House.
The staff knows that he doesn't know how to type, so he didn't want me to type a draft into the White House computer, because then the staff would figure out that that wasn't his draft. So we hunted all throughout the residence for a manual or electric typewriter, you know, from the Stone Ages, and they found this dusty IBM Selectric, and the guy lugged it upstairs to his office and blew off the dust, and then I sit there typing the draft. Then as we finished each page, he would take it into his other room, and he'd copy it over left-handed in longhand, so that he could give it to his staff and say, this wasn't a speechwriter's draft, this is my draft. I stayed up all night working on it.
Finally, of course, it became impossible to conceal Charlie's identity. At first, he had powerful allies in Hillary Clinton and in Vice President Al Gore. The staff reluctantly came to grips with the man they regarded as Bill Clinton's evil twin.
Was the staff resentful of Morris?
Resentful? They despised him. We all despised him.
Dick was a whirling dervish of egocentric obnoxion.
But they all knew Morris far more than any of them now had the president's ear.
Over the course of the first 9 months of 1995, no single person had more power over the president and therefore over the government than Dick Morris. No question about it.
The favorite West Wing joke was that the president had developed a split personality. Daytime Clinton worked with his regular staff, but nighttime Clinton belonged to Dick Morris. The team feared the president now relied on polling data more than on principles. It got so bad that even Clinton's vacation plans were determined by Dick Morris's polls.
My view was, you're president of the United States. You've got to make some very important decisions on some very difficult issues. And I remember at one point basically saying, look, you know, Abraham Lincoln did not have to have a pollster in this office to decide what's right and wrong. And you don't need a pollster either.
The assumption that everything had to be poll tested, that you couldn't have a good idea for what the president ought to do or where this country ought to go unless some poll indicated that it would be particularly popular with the public. That alone, I thought, a little bit galling.
Hillary Clinton, another casualty of the Republican Revolution, was touring South Asia while her husband was in his post-election funk. Chastened by the collapse of health reform, Hillary was in full retreat, back to more traditional First Lady chores.
Objects in them are so,
This time she was on the low end of the Clinton
we are
seesaw.
very excited. Some of you may have noticed the Dolly Madison portrait that is in the Red Room.
After the defeat of '94, which Clinton in his own mind attributed largely to Hillary's health care proposal and the sort of left direction, Hillary had very little power in the White House in '95 and '96. Never came to strategy meetings, was never involved in any of the major decisions, and really was out of the loop.
That April, as the cherry blossoms bloomed in Washington, so did the Republican Revolution. The contract with America was sailing through Congress, and the revolutionary-in-chief was still riding high. So high that the President of the United States seemed to all but disappear. Bill Clinton practically had to stop, shout, and wave to remind us he still had a seat at the table.
The Constitution gives me relevance. The power of our ideas gives me relevance. The record we have built up over the last 2 years and the things we're trying to do to implement it give it relevance. The President is relevant here.
So much attention was being focused on the Republican Congress. So much attention was being focused on Speaker Gingrich, the contract with America. And so the real question was, what then, where is the relevance of the President in this process?
There wasn't a lot of time to think about it. I think late the next morning, the Oklahoma City bombing happened, and the President was relevant.
No president had faced anything like it. The most deadly terrorist attack on American soil. 168 lives lost, many of them children. Bill Clinton, with his delicate touch for such difficult moments, knew exactly how to respond.
It was an act of cowardice, and it was evil. The United States will not tolerate it, and I will not allow the people of this country to be intimidated by evil cowards.
Oklahoma is where he finds the combination to the lock, in my view. He finds his voice as the president.
Rahm Emanuel was now a rising star in the West Wing.
Reagan did it in the Challenger blow-up. I think at Oklahoma, this president was a unifier, and the president is a unifying force that brings a country together.
Let us let our own children know that we will stand against the forces of fear.
The President has an extraordinary capacity to empathize and also to preach.
When there is talk of violence, let us stand up and talk against it. In the face of death, let us honor life.
I don't mean preach in terms of telling people what to do. I don't mean in a self-righteous way. I mean in terms of making people aware that the cosmos sometimes works in strange ways. Almost a religious aspect.
I think that more than anything brought out the human side of Bill Clinton. And people really, for the first time in a long time, connected with the president and what he was trying to be and who he was.
The side of Bill Clinton that had always known how to connect had reemerged. And as much as the deeply personal contact helped victims and their families, it also seemed to help Bill Clinton himself. He literally appeared stronger, strong enough to finally take on the revolution that had made him seem so small and irrelevant. He and his pollster, Dick Morris, took a bold step. They would position the president apart from Republicans and Democrats. In fact, they would cherry-pick only the most popular ideas from both parties. Their strategy became known as triangulation.
Good evening. Tonight I present to the American people a plan for a balanced federal budget. My plan cuts spending by $1.1 trillion. It does not raise taxes.
In the West Wing, many considered it heresy. A balanced budget was pure republicanism. But Morris didn't care what they thought. He took his orders directly from Bill Clinton.
They were Democrats, I was a Clintonista. My job was to help Bill Clinton get elected, and their job was to try to get the Democrats across the board elected.
And you didn't care if the Democrats controlled the Congress?
I didn't care at all. In fact, I feel that it was in many ways better for Bill Clinton if the Republicans did, because it permitted him to get rid of the craziness of the liberals in the Democratic Party and go with the centrist achievements that I think have worked so well for the country.
As you might imagine, the Democrats felt Clinton was selling them down the river.
It confirmed some of their worst suspicions that the president was prepared to sacrifice him in the name of going for some kind of position with the Republicans.
With angry Democrats on one flank, the president faced the Republican Revolution on the other. They had passed their own version of the balanced budget, one with less money earmarked for Medicare. And Clinton's nemesis, Newt Gingrich, was now daring the president to veto it.
I think it's a very big step for him to say to the American people, I'm going to veto a balanced budget.
Bill Clinton took that very big step. His veto would cause the government to shut down. It was high noon in Washington.
We knew we were, going right into brinksmanship with Newt Gingrich in the Republican Congress. We knew that the shutdown was going to have a very dramatic impact on the thinking of the American people.
It wasn't at all clear who would lose that blame game. And the party that lost the blame game would probably lose in the 1996 elections, or at least suffer major setbacks. So the stakes were huge.
Our strategy was very simple. We couldn't buckle, and we had to say that they were blackmailing the country to get their way.
But Bill Clinton's team had so often witnessed their boss's tendency to become compromiser-in-chief whenever he got into a tight spot. They held their breath.
It sounds like you were worried the president was going to cave in.
Yeah, I mean, there were those of us on the staff who thought that the president would be willing to, to do whatever was necessary to cut a deal. And we kept saying, no, this is fundamental to everything that you have fought for.
They still had no idea what the president would do until Clinton and Gingrich faced off in person.
The president said to Gingrich, I simply can't do what you want me to do. I don't believe in it, and I don't believe it's right for the country. And even if it costs me the election, I am not going to do this. And I kind of sighed at that point, and I thought, he gets it. He gets it.
So the politician who took so many polls, the president who made so many deals, the compromiser-in-chief finally took a stand.
I am fighting it today. I will fight it tomorrow. I will fight it next week and next month. I will fight it until we get a budget that is fair to all Americans.
Bill Clinton was again at the brink. His team hunkered down in that familiar war room mode. The struggle dragged on for weeks. But Newt Gingrich blinked first. Clinton had won by standing his ground. Even his own cabinet was surprised.
The shutdown was important because the president stood his ground. He was seen as the great compromiser. And suddenly, confronted by the possibility of a government shutdown, he called their bluff. His backbone was stiffer than they anticipated. They misread him.
By now, the Clinton team knew enough to savor such sweet moments when it could. In this White House, another round of incoming was practically guaranteed.
We all used to have a joke in the White House that we never get more than a 4-week run of good news, so we always had some problem we had to have to, take the air out of, suffocate it.
I mean, everybody had felt so good about the way the shutdown had ended. Like, we had stood firmly for our principles, we had prevailed, the Republicans were in disarray, things were starting to look good up in New Hampshire, and then wham.
These records come to us in an almost magical fashion after almost 2 years of apparently being in the White House residence.
Down to
Hillary Clinton's old law firm billing records, subpoenaed 2 years before in the Whitewater investigation, had turned up mysteriously in the private residence. The White House lawyer who defended Mrs. Clinton knew this meant big trouble.
I saw these documents. I saw Vince Foster's handwriting all over them, which by now I recognized, and just realized immediately that this was going to be a problem. You could see that conspiracy theorists going. You could, I saw the next 6 months of my life, spin out in front of me.
Those of us who covered the Clintons smelled one hell of a story, because no one at the White House could explain how those long-lost records just happened to appear. And when Hillary Clinton hit the road to promote her new book about children, this reporter was one of those who hounded her.
Clinton, how important is this week in terms of turning your image around?
Mrs. Clinton, can you shed any light on how those documents wound up in the White House living quarters?
Mrs. Clinton, concerning the questions that have been raised on the travel office in Whitewater, what is the difference in that?
Until then, Kenneth Starr, the Republican Independent Counsel, had enjoyed cordial relations with the White House, but the billing records discovery angered him enough to haul Hillary Clinton before a grand jury.
I am happy to answer the grand jury's questions and look forward to telling them everything I know, with the hope that it will help them in their investigation.
No First Lady had ever endured such a spectacle. Over in the West Wing, this amounted to a clear shot over the bow.
At this point, it's war with Ken Starr.
Well, I don't know if I'd use war, but it was clear that this was a battle to the end, to the finish. There's no doubt about that. Yep.
Ken Starr now clearly had crossed a line when he basically tried to humiliate the First Lady by having her appear in person before that grand jury. I think that was a sense, there was a real sense that the Rubicon had been crossed.
So Hillary Clinton, in that January of 1996, found herself a lightning rod once more. But this was an election year, and Bill Clinton was determined not to let anything slow him down. He and his shadow, Dick Morris, had a plan.
The era of big government is over.
And so, thanks to the Morris-Clinton plan, was the era of big ideas. This time, no ambitious agenda like health reform. Clinton campaigned that year on safe, middle-of-the-road proposals that Dick Morris had validated in his polling. V-chips, school uniforms, curbs on teen smoking. And after anguished soul-searching in the West Wing, he adopted the Republican plan to reform the nation's welfare system.
I think vetoing it would have been the single highest risk. I think if he'd vetoed that bill, he probably would not have been reelected president.
And then Dick Morris was gone. A sex scandal of his own on the last day of Bill Clinton's triumphant Democratic convention sent Charlie packing. But by now, Bill Clinton probably didn't need him anymore. The economy was taking off, interest rates were coming down, Bob Dole wasn't much of a threat. In November, Bill Clinton became the first Democrat since FDR to win a second term.
It was a reversal of the tribulations of 1994, the rejection that 1994 represented.
I say, when we look into our hearts...
And I think the president felt wonderful. He felt that he had not only been vindicated, but all of the pettiness, all of the negativism, all of the Whitewater mess, all of the enemies that he had generated. Notwithstanding all of that, the people had been with him, and he would have 4 more years.
And God bless America. Thank you.
At this point, George Stephanopoulos, one of the originals on the team, had already told the president he would be leaving at the end of the first term. That night, he wondered about Hillary Clinton. 4 years earlier, she had declared a zone of privacy and strived with Bill to change the culture in Washington. Now, re-elected, perhaps they would get another chance.
There was so much kind of hope in her eyes that night. You know, they were tearing up. I think she sort of felt all the problems were behind her, and you know, they were now free to go on and free to, you know, close off a lot of the unpleasantness of the past.
I, William Jefferson Clinton, do solemnly...
For the first time, Bill Clinton had taken office without having to worry about re-election. For 25 years, he'd always had to think about his next opponent. Now, there was a different goal, a legacy, a presidency for the history books. But he would need the help of Congress, and Congress was still in the hands of his enemies.
The American people returned to office a president of one party and a Congress of another. Surely they did not do this to advance the politics of petty bickering and extreme partisanship they plainly deplore.
Clinton reached for that public voice he'd found after the Oklahoma City bombing. Casting himself as the healer, he quoted from the book of Isaiah.
They call all us instead to be repairers of the breach and to move on with America's mission.
The healer went forth and sat with his adversaries. Gone were the confrontational days of the government shutdown.
First, I want to thank Senator Lott for hosting us, and I thank the Speaker and Senator Lott and the leadership for inviting us to come down here and meet with the bipartisan leadership today.
If we could have a bipartisan agreement on the budget, a bipartisan effort on education reform, I think we could get a great deal done for the American people this year.
And it worked. They finally made a deal on balancing the budget. Chalk up a plus for the legacy. But soon, Bill Clinton's agenda would stall on even more ambitious reforms of Social Security and Medicare. The healer couldn't repair the breach without more allies in Congress. He needed a friend.
You know, President Truman said if you want a friend in Washington, you need to get a dog.
He got a dog.
He has a little house in the kitchen where he sleeps in the
But
kitchen.
certainly, Bill Clinton understood better than anyone that another round of incoming was just a matter of time. And even those of us jaded journalists who'd seen Clinton survive so many moments of danger were stunned when we woke up to this one.
Explosive new allegations that strike at the very heart of the president's affair with a young female aide.
Impeachment investigation.
President Clinton, as well as Vernon Jordan, are under investigation by the independent counsel Kenneth Starr for possible witness tampering.
I smell a rat in all this.
So do you have a moment?
The president is outraged.
Is it true you advised Monica Lewinsky?
Only months before that eventful morning in January, Paul Begala had returned from exile to an office of his own in the West Wing.
I mean, I felt like I was hit with a 2x4 in the solar plexus. I mean, my stomach was in knots. I was sick to my stomach.
Well, I don't think I want to describe what my gut was telling me to do at that point, because it had more to do with vomiting than anything else. But it was, you know, you read this and you said, this is incredible. I mean, and it was hard to believe.
The news of this day is that Kenneth Starr, the independent counsel, is investigating allegations that you suborned perjury by encouraging a 24-year-old woman, former White House intern, to lie under oath in a civil deposition about her having had an affair with you. Mr. President, is that true?
That is not true. That is not true.
The author of the Clinton Crisis Playbook returned instinctively to its fundamental strategies. First, parse the answer.
You had no sexual relationship with this young woman.
There is not a sexual relationship. That is accurate.
By now, after listening carefully to Clinton for 6 years, those of us in the press knew the playbook as well as the West Wing team. We, too, parsed the words and pushed his press secretary.
World could the president be matter of fact about anything he's doing today when this is blowing up around us?
We'd like to have his answers.
The president has always told everyone to tell the truth.
Is your interpretation of that statement that he meant to categorically deny that he had?
I'm not going to parse the statement. You've got the statement.
But even Mike McCurry was worried about Bill Clinton's answers.
And we kept asking lawyers and others, well, you know, where is the strong denial? You know, we need to have a very strong denial. And of course, the president, as he struggled with the story the day that it broke, went through a lot of contorted answers in 3 interviews that he gave that day, in which there were questions about which verb tense he had used, because he had said that there is no relationship. And we were all looking at each other saying, he didn't deny it strongly enough.
That same day, on a subway in New York City, the beeper of a veteran political operative began to vibrate.
It was the old phone number, the president's personal line, and that hadn't gone off for a while, and I sort of thought maybe there was a mistake.
No mistake. Bill Clinton, in trouble again, was reaching out secretly to Morris and his Poles.
And he said, yeah, this is horrible. This is just terrible. Ever since I was elected president, ever since '92, I've sort of shut myself down, shut my body down, sexually, I mean. But I just screwed up with this girl. I didn't do what they said I did, but I did do something. And I think I may have done so much that I can't prove my innocence.
And Morris, who now had personal experience with public disgrace, offered to help his old client.
I said Nixon was impeached because he just never told the public the truth about Watergate. And he said, you really think that I could do this? And I said, look, I don't know. Let's poll it. Let's find out. And I did a poll that night, and I called him back late that night. And I said, well, they'll forgive the adultery, but they won't forgive the lying. So I was hoping that he would sort of let the public down gently. He interpreted the poll numbers as being that he had to stonewall, and he said, well, we just have to win, don't we?
The stonewalling included members of his own cabinet, which meant 2 days after the Lewinsky story broke. Unwittingly, they did Bill Clinton's bidding.
I believe that the allegations are completely untrue.
I'll second that, definitely. But surely all of you understand.
Wait, there's 2 more people left. I'll second that, too. Third it.
I did believe the president when he spoke to us January 23rd.
When you went out and affirmed that, did you believe him?
Yes. Absolutely, or I wouldn't have gone out and affirmed it.
After consulting with a trusted Hollywood producer who also believed the president, Clinton would give a far more dramatic denial.
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
Back to work. A classic line from the Clinton playbook. Indeed, the president and his staff would stick this scandal out by focusing relentlessly on the picture of Bill Clinton hard at work.
Our goal was to have the president portrayed doing the job he should be doing as president. I think the fact that we did that and that the trains continued to run on time, basically, is probably what helped rescue Bill Clinton from this political scandal.
This gets back to the fundamental lesson of political survival that Bill Clinton taught me, which is if you make it about the American people's lives instead of your life, you're going to be okay.
And of course, the playbook called for Hillary to perform her role.
The great story here, for anybody willing to find it and write about it and explain it, is this vast right-wing conspiracy that has been conspiring against my husband.
The vast right-wing conspiracy. As they had done so often before, the Clintons were demonizing the adversary. One of the original hired guns was called back to the fold.
This started out as a $40,000 land deal that lost money, and about $50 million, and 5 years later, after nobody could find anything, we wiring up people in hotels, feeding them whiskey, trying to get them to talk and everything else. I wasn't very subtle about it.
But you had their encouragement.
No, I didn't. I didn't ask them.
And they didn't stop you?
No. But they weren't going to. They stopped me.
An implicit encouragement.
I wasn't going to be stopped. No, oh, no, sir. Don't ever think that this was anything close to a ploy. I did it. I'm glad I did it. And I pointed out things to people that needed to be pointed out.
That spring and summer passed as one West Wing insider after another was paraded before the grand jury.
Monica! Did you have sexual relations with the president?
Monica!
And the young woman at the heart of the scandal became an infamous overnight celebrity. Then, just before Bill Clinton himself would face the grand jury, word from someone close to the president that he would change his story. For those of us who followed him, this was a high-level, calculated leak to prepare the public and even his family for the messy details to come. For many in the senior staff and cabinet, it was clear confirmation that Bill Clinton had been lying to them and using them all along.
I was very disappointed. I was very angry. It was, you know, about as you can imagine. I mean, put yourself in that position as someone you trusted, who you believed in, who misled you, and then I, in turn, unwittingly misled the country. I took that very, very seriously.
Once you found out that the president had not told the truth, did you feel that he had used you for...
Of course. I mean, what's surprising about that? The president felt like he had used us.
There was a, you know, along with disappointment, some anger. The thing that was the overwhelming sense that you blew this great opportunity to really do some extraordinary things for the country because of this. That's what is the overriding emotion I think most of us felt as we went into that period.
After Kenneth Starr and his deputies completed their grand jury interrogation of Bill Clinton, the only president ever to face such a criminal inquiry, he retreated to the solarium in the private residence of the White House. A few of the original loyalists who'd spent that awkward evening at the Ritz-Carlton in Boston during Jennifer Flowers were this time witnessing the Clintons at the very bottom.
It was, you know, it was a pretty tough day. It's a pretty tough day.
Was he mad?
No. And it just seemed tired. But didn't know.
What about Mrs. Clinton? Was she upset?
Upset? Yeah. Yeah, she was upset. So pretty, I mean, you could tell that she'd been crying. Yeah, she was not, you know, it's not too good a mood.
Once again, in the midst of a personal crisis, Bill Clinton went on national television. To the chagrin of his own staff, he seemed less contrite than sorry for himself. And once again, as he had done on 60 Minutes 6 years earlier, Bill Clinton admitted no more than he had to.
Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate. In fact, it was wrong.
The very next morning, Bill Clinton also tried to make it clear he was paying a personal price for his indiscretion. These pictures of the Clintons leaving for a vacation on Martha's Vineyard spoke volumes.
Bill Clinton holding on to Buddy for dear life. This is the way I remember the picture.
You're on the helicopter.
Yeah, I was there waiting to fly off on this happy family vacation. I pretty firmly believe that there had not been many conversations between the Clintons as a couple on this until they were able to get away and be by themselves.
The old Harry Truman line that Bill Clinton had quoted about friends and dogs took on a certain sad truth during that Martha's Vineyard vacation, but there was little time for healing.
Today, I ordered our armed forces to strike at terrorist-related facilities in Afghanistan and Sudan.
American missiles had leveled targets supposedly tied to Osama bin Laden in retaliation for the bombing of American embassies in Africa. Clinton had rushed back to Washington to manage the crisis, but his national security advisor knew it would be a tough sell to those of us in the press corps who might view it cynically as an attempt to change the subject.
I remember the president saying, let's just do what we think is the right thing to do. We'll probably get it either way. I think the right thing to do was to respond, and we did.
But I believe
the subject wouldn't stay changed for long. Knowing that Kenneth Starr was about to release his potentially devastating report, Bill Clinton would launch a campaign of contrition.
I agree with those who have said that in my first statement after I testified, I was not contrite enough. I don't think there is a fancy way to say that I have sinned.
Later that day, those sins, cataloged in excruciatingly graphic detail, were made public in the explosively hyped Starr report. Bill Clinton met privately with an old friend who would soon join his legal team.
He was a man in deep trouble, personally, emotionally, and you could tell it. He knew he was in trouble personally. He was in trouble not only with his family, which was, I think, first and foremost his concern. He had trouble with his cabinet. He was in trouble with his staff.
Are you considering resignation, Mr. President?
Even the true believers in the West Wing feared he might be finished.
I was very afraid that the whole thing could be over, that there'd be a sort of delegation of congressional Democrats, and you know what I mean, moderate Republicans go down to the White House.
Come to the White House and tell
say,
the president it's over.
Right. And quite candidly, I was not alone in that fear.
I was talking to a close friend in the Senate, Kent Conrad, who I've known for 25 years, and I said, how are we doing up there? And he was saying that we're about 2 or 3 days away from a delegation of senior senators from the Democratic Party coming down and talking to the president about resigning.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
They figured the final blow might be the public release of the president's videotaped grand jury testimony. But ironically, the sight of the President of the United States being asked such humiliating questions was just the break he needed.
If you touched another person on the breast, touched the genitalia, if Monica Lewinsky says that you used a cigar as a sexual aid with her in the Oval Office area, would you be lying?
To Democrats in Congress and to much of the public, Starr and his deputies seemed harsh and partisan. The president's anger seemed justified. His approval ratings actually moved up. And to the surprise of official Washington, in the midterm elections that fall, Democrats picked up seats in Congress. Bill Clinton's old arch-rival, sensing a revolt in his own party, suddenly resigned.
American people sent us a message that would break the eardrums of anyone who was listening.
At the beginning of this term, Bill Clinton had tried to assume the mantle of healer. Now he hoped moderate Republicans might hear a healing message in the election results.
The House will be in order. Gentleman from Illinois.
But the hardliners still controlled Congress.
From Georgia, Mr. Barr. Gentleman from Georgia is recognized for 1 minute.
And they were listening to the constituents who hated Bill Clinton.
Mr. Speaker and colleagues, today our votes and our consciences must be based on the rule of law.
And sure enough, on a winter Saturday, 6 weeks later, the United States House of Representatives ensured Bill Clinton's presidency would be one for the record books.
The yeas are 228, the nays are 206. Article 1 is adopted.
As he and his team quietly watched the proceedings, William Jefferson Clinton became only the second president ever impeached.
He was just subdued, I would say. Didn't say very much. Watched it. We just kind of watched it. I think none of us said very much. We just watched the vote take place.
I think his view was that they can do whatever they want. They can impeach me. They can vote in the Senate and remove me. But they're going to have to do that to get me to leave.
The Senate will convene as a court of impeachment.
Removal from office was never in doubt. The Republicans did not have the 2/3 majority in the Senate they needed.
Mr. Conrad. Mr. Conrad, not guilty. Mr. Coverdell. Mr. Coverdell, guilty.
Bill Clinton, of course, would win the most important vote of his life.
Mr. Domenici.
The old playbook had worked again. Throughout the scandal, Americans had seen him doing his job. Besides, the economy was good, and by now, the thoroughbred's flaws were well known. But there was no glory to be had in this victory. No, this time, the comeback kid had simply survived.
The Senate adjudges that the respondent, William Jefferson Clinton, President of the United States, is not guilty as charged in the first article of impeachment.
The great personal and political drama of the Clinton presidency was over. Once again, the nation witnessed a remarkable act of presidential contrition.
Now that the Senate has fulfilled its constitutional responsibility, bringing this process to a conclusion, I want to say again to the American people how profoundly sorry I am for what I said and did to trigger these events and the great burden they have imposed on the Congress and on the American people.
One Clinton drama was over, but another was just beginning. Now, as the end of this second term fast approached, Bill Clinton campaigned to have history judge him on a broader canvas. Over the next 2 years, Clinton would throw himself into trouble spots abroad and claim credit for economic success at home. He would struggle to find a role for himself as his two closest political allies, his vice president and his wife, campaigned as his anointed political successors. But now, only a month after his impeachment, he would try on the role he had once found so uncomfortable, commander-in-chief.
United States forces acting with our NATO allies have commenced airstrikes against Serbian military targets in the former Yugoslavia.
Clinton had decided to marshal sophisticated American air power in moral outrage against ethnic cleansing in Kosovo. His course became more difficult as the weeks dragged on. The enemy dug in, and some American planes began missing their targets.
Through impeachment, through the trial, etc., this was the hardest time. To know that there were consequences to this, there was collateral damage, there were innocent people who were being put in harm's way, but that we were doing the right thing, but we needed to persevere and press on.
But in the Oval Office, Clinton knew that all over Washington, even within his own cabinet, powerful voices were raising serious doubts about his air war.
Just by the look in people's eyes, they weren't sure that this was going to work. And he was the one who was reassuring that we have a good plan. We know it'll work. Just, you know, don't respond. Don't react to everybody criticizing you on television all the time. We knew this was going to work. Just stay with it.
In the end, after 78 days of bombing, it worked. Bill Clinton could chalk up his first major success as commander-in-chief. Clinton's war against the deficit was also paying off. Even Alan Greenspan had to admit he'd never seen such a strong economy. For the first time in years, Bill Clinton seemed like his confident old self.
I had the opportunity to go to the White House and hear Bill Clinton speak, and he was like the best I'd heard him in a long, long time. I couldn't believe it. So I went to some of his people. I said, has he been speaking like this recently? And they said, he's in a zone. He's entered a zone in the last few weeks that nobody quite understands, but it's like a baseball player who's on a hitting streak.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
In the final stages of his presidency, it seemed to those of us who'd followed him all these years that Bill Clinton was determined to tie up loose ends. In those presidential rituals, such as the Washington Press Corps dinners, he was doing it with a pretty good sense of humor.
You know, the clock is running down on the Republicans in Congress, too. I feel for them, I do. They've only got 7 more months to investigate me.
Now, he was far more willing to poke fun at himself and even at sensitive subjects like his seesaw relationship with Hillary.
So many unanswered questions.
Consider that skit he videotaped, picturing himself as a stay-at-home husband.
I wish I could be here more, but I really think Bill has everything under control.
The irony, of course, is that now that Hillary was considering a political career of her own, Bill would be the one standing by his woman. In the twilight of his presidency, Bill Clinton saw Hillary's success as an extension of his own legacy.
I am honored today to announce my candidacy for the United States Senate from New York.
But there was, for this man of enormous faith in his own ability, a far more difficult prize for the history books: peace in the Middle East. Bill Clinton, in a series of all-night sessions at Camp David, would invest his charm, his intellect, his persuasiveness, all of his political skill to personally bridge the chasm between Yasser Arafat and Ehud Barak.
We all worked constantly, and because the president is a night person, and because both Chairman Arafat and Prime Minister Barak are night people, the whole schedule kind of got reversed, and you'd actually make an arrangement to have a meeting at midnight or 2 in the morning. And so it was very much working through the night and practically working 24 hours straight. The president was so involved that it's impossible to separate him from any part of this.
Look, if this were easy, it would have been done a long time ago. This is difficult. Thank you.
Still, Bill Clinton would not give up, continuing his campaign for some kind of lasting mark on the Middle East until the final days of his presidency.
If you could list one regret that Bill Clinton has about the way he conducted foreign policy, what would that be?
I suspect that he would say that he had hoped that we would have ended this administration with a more secure peace in the Middle East than it appears will be the case.
Bill Clinton had one more chance to leave a lasting impression on the American body politic.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
He didn't seem to mind that it was at Al Gore's Democratic convention. The thoroughbred of campaigners strutted his stuff one last time.
Let's remember the standard our Republican friends used to have for whether a party should continue in office. My fellow Americans, are we better off today than we were 8 years ago? You bet we are. You bet we are.
But Clinton's own vice president didn't want his help. So Secretariat, as his old team had once called Clinton, savored the spotlight, knowing he would spend most of the presidential campaign on the sidelines.
There's a kind of wistfulness that it's not him running anymore. And he understands, you know, the 2-term limit and that you can't run for office forever, but this is the first time he's actually been faced with it. So there's part of him that says, you know, it wouldn't be great if I was out there making my case.
Thank you.
On election night, the only real bright spot for Bill Clinton was the victory of his political partner and apt pupil to the United States Senate.
Wow, this is amazing. Thank you all. Thank you.
A big call to make. CNN announces that we call Florida in the Al Gore column.
NBC News is now taking Florida out of Vice President Gore's column.
In the interest of sobriety, if nothing else, we are going to take Florida back into the too close to call column.
Clinton would not admit, at least not publicly, that Al Gore's ultimate defeat would be seen in some ways as a tarnish on his legacy. After all, his chosen successor had failed to hold on to the White House during a time of peace and prosperity.
Good evening. Just moments ago, I spoke with George W. Bush and congratulated him on becoming the 43rd President of the United States. And I promised him that I wouldn't call him back this time.
A new president was coming to town, and even as Bill Clinton prepared to relinquish his office, he feared a final round of incoming. By now, a new independent counsel had finally cleared the Clintons in the Whitewater investigation, but the Lewinsky case, whether Bill Clinton lied under oath, was still open.
I think the president believes that there's a very real possibility that the independent counsel will prosecute, that that's what he's moving toward. I think the president is a human being, and the prospect of being hounded even out of the White House for something that started a long time ago before he got in the White House is frustrating and makes him angry and makes him concerned.
By the end of his presidency, some of us who followed Bill Clinton finally came to terms with the question, how could he so often survive one close call after another? Now, the fuzzy patterns we just begun to notice back in that first campaign had become so much more clear. The permanent Clinton campaign, that crisis playbook, the support of his steadfast partner, his political talent, inner toughness, and remarkable ability to take a punch.
Most people in that job would never have been able to pull out of that first tailspin that he went into, but he did. And that's the remarkable thing about Bill Clinton, is how good he is at pulling himself out of the tailspins. He is the comeback kid. The other remarkable thing about Bill Clinton is how he gets himself into trouble, so he goes into tailspins. And that's what's been hard to reconcile.
As he prepared to leave office, many of those who served on his West Wing team remained, like much of the country, ambivalent, dazzled by his performance and disappointed by the man.
Boy, he did a good job, but he might have been great. But it turns out that he actually achieved so much of what he promised to do, left the country in such better shape than when it came in. And you can't give him all the credit for that, but he certainly deserves some. He was a terrific steward. And he did try to point the country to the future, but he couldn't escape his past.
I think history will look at this presidency as probably a tale of two presidents. One president, extremely bright, capable, compassionate, wanting to do the right thing for the country, wanting to do the right thing for the world. The other presidency will be a tale of someone who made a terrible personal mistake. And that will, I think, the bottom line will be that to some extent created a disappointment for what this presidency could have been for the country and for the world.
On Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays, I say, thank God Bill Clinton was there, to hold back the right wing, make the right decisions on a lot of very important issues. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays, I say to myself, what a waste. All that talent and all that ability, and he did not do what he intended to do and get accomplished. Maybe if he had been more disciplined, both in terms of his agenda and also his personal life, more could have been done. And then on Sundays, I don't think about it.
I just don't think that his likes will come our way again, for better in some ways, for worse. I'm disappointed in a lot of things that he's done. I think he had potential for greatness. I don't think he achieved it. I think he's done a lot of good things for the country. And, I have a lot of sadness about how it's all ended up for him, but I have a reservoir for affection for him that I don't really understand.
This exploration of the Clinton era continues on the definitive Frontline Nightline website, where you'll find a breakdown of the key chapters in Clinton's presidency, in-depth interviews with staffers, cabinet members, and key advisors, and more than 2 hours of streaming video.
I do.
A slideshow and commentary by veteran White House photographer Robert McNeely. Some of the best anecdotes from the Clinton era.
I did, but since I've told the grand jury, I might as well tell you.
Links to the New York Times special series on Clinton's presidency, and the best from its extensive archives. Plus a chronology, a quiz, and the chance to join in our discussion about this report at pbs.org or America Online, keyword PBS. Next time on Frontline, Marquise has been stealing since he was 12. Jose took part in a deadly brawl. Manny and a gang brutally attacked a family. Sean stabbed his father. They were all under 18, but should they be tried as adults? Frontline investigates the new face of juvenile justice. The Clinton Years is available on video cassette from PBS Video by calling 1-800-PLAY-PBS. We'd like to know what you thought about tonight's program. We read all of our mail, so write us an email at frontline@pbs.org or drop a line to Dear Frontline, 125 Western Avenue, Boston, Massachusetts, 02134.
Frontline is made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
This is PBS.
His name is Elian Gonzalez.
How one little boy became a cause that ignited a war. What was really going on while everyone was saving Elian? Watch Frontline.
Local presentation of Frontline is made possible by a grant from the Joplin Globe, 100 years of excellence and only the beginning, and by the C.W. Titus Foundation.
I'm Paul Kangas with a business news brief. After the stock market closed today, semiconductor giant Intel reported it earned 38 cents per share in the fourth quarter, a penny better than the consensus estimate. But Intel also said it expects first quarter revenues to fall about 15% from the fourth quarter, well below estimates. The stock closed at $31.38 a share, down 75 cents. Meanwhile, some solid earnings from major banks like Citigroup and Mellon gave blue-chip stocks a boost as the Dow Industrial Average closed up 127 points, or 1.2%. The NASDAQ index fell a modest 8 points, and the American Exchange Index rose 11 1/4. Ralston Purina will be acquired by Nestle for $33.50 per share. The stock jumped $6.88 to $31.50. Tomorrow, President-elect Bush's economic agenda and how it'll affect the nation's classrooms. For more financial news, tune in to Nightly Business Report weekdays on this public television station.
Today's broadcast costs are funded by Color 10. Ozarks Public Television thanks Color 10 for broadcast technical assistance provided since 1975. Color 10 has been a CBS affiliate since 1953 and the Ozarks television pioneer.
Hi, we're the Fentons from Springfield, Missouri, and Ozarks Public Television belongs to us.
Next time on Jazz.
When Benny Goodman reached those kids at the Palomar Ballroom in California, it was like 20 years later with rock and roll.
We were rebels. We were doing something that our grown-ups didn't know about.
The night that Benny Goodman came to play against Chick Webb was an electrical night. Here's Benny Goodman, the king of swing, and here's Chick Webb, the king of swing.
Swing, pure pleasure. Next time on Part 5 of Jazz.
You're watching KOZK, Channel 21, Springfield, and KOZJ, Channel 26, Joplin. Building Big is made possible by a grant from the Ozark chapter of the Missouri Society of Professional Engineers, who sponsor several local student educational events and engineering college scholarships each year. See webpage link at www.mspe.org for more information. And by the Springfield chapter of the American Institute of Architects, with an active membership of 130 architects. The American Institute of Architects is the voice of the architecture profession, dedicated to serving its members, advancing their value, and improving the quality of the built environment. And by the C.W. Titus Foundation.
Deep in the heart of Texas, old habits die hard. But these six-shooters aren't aiming to settle a grudge about land or cattle. They're here to break ground for one of the world's largest structures, the very first domed stadium ever built. This stunt and the Houston Astrodome were born in the extraordinary brain of Judge Roy Hofheinz.
The judge was one of the great Texas originals and had a lot of that Texas character and color and hot air.
Hofheinz was one of the country's great showmen, with instincts honed by his days as owner of the Barnum and Bailey Circus. The Astrodome was his biggest production yet, one intended to put his beloved Houston on the national map. Opening day in April 1965 was presided over by President Lyndon Johnson himself, along with 21 astronauts from Houston's new NASA Space Center, throwing out the ceremonial first pitch. And for a perfect storybook finish, the great Mickey Mantle hit the first indoor home run in baseball history. This was exactly what Hofheinz had aimed for. A building grand enough to make Houston a world-famous landmark, the latest in a 2,000-year-old tradition of great domes.
The dome represents the sky.
Seamless, no angles, no corners, smooth and circular. A symbol of the universe.
More than any other great structures, domes are the symbols of what those who build them value most. Domes, coming next on Building Big.
Major funding for Building Big is provided by the National Science Foundation, America's investment in the future. Funding is also provided by
You'll be surprised how much of our technology goes into your day. We're Siemens.
the American Society of Civil Engineers, working to build you a better world since 1852. The National Endowment for the Humanities, expanding our understanding of the world. The Arthur Vining Davis Foundation. And by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
If any city needed a covered stadium, it was Houston.
It was over 90 degrees in Houston today, and the humidity was through the roof. But here in the Astrodome, it's 72 and dry, as always. I'd much rather watch a ball game in here than out there. And I think most of the fans and players would probably feel the same way.
But beyond the need for comfort, there was another reason to build this gigantic dome. From the beginning, the Astrodome was conceived as a way to propel Houston into the Big Ten.
Before we had the Astrodome, people forget, for most of its history, Houston was a minor league city. We didn't yet have major league sports.
Then as now, any American city that sought major league status had to have its own major league sports team. And while the cure for the minor league blues was obvious enough, the problem for Houston was that it was hard to find major league ball players willing to endure the city's grotesque summers. Just ask those who tried it.
It was a trip, playing outdoors, 100-degree weather, humidity 110. The bugs, dive bombers.
They had stewardesses on them.
So to get its coveted team, Houston had to find a way to do what no one had done before, to play the outdoor sport of baseball indoors, in air-conditioned comfort. That's where Judge Hofheinz came in. He knew what kind of spectacle he wanted. Complete with spacettes as ushers and spacesuit-clad earthmen to sweep the infield. But he still had to figure out how to build the thing. Hofheinz himself specifically chose a dome to do the job, with good reason.
The dome shape of the roof was critical for covering a stadium. I mean, imagine trying to cover a space this large with a flat roof. You'd need columns at regular intervals just to keep the roof from collapsing under its own weight. And you could never play baseball or any other kind of sport here, not with all these posts. Although you might get some interesting pinball action, players bouncing off the columns, but that's about it. So the challenge to the builders was clear. Build a roof big enough to cover an entire baseball field and grandstands for 50,000 people, without obstructing the players or the views of the spectators.
The problem was how to support the weight of such an enormous roof. And here, the dome's curve was the key. A dome can't support itself while it's being built, which is why the Astrodome's roof was constructed on towers, in a modern version of an ancient technique called centering. But once the structure was complete, the posts could be removed. And the complex curving lattice carried the entire weight of the dome safely out to the walls of the stadium. The result was an unprecedented expanse, the building that Judge Hofheinz immediately dubbed the eighth wonder of the world.
The great statistic about the Astrodome wasn't that it drew over 2 million people in its first year of operation to watch the ball games. It's the fact that it drew over 1 million not to watch the ball games. They would come in and pay $1 to tour the stadium when it was empty on an off day on the schedule.
But even if the fans marveled at the stadium, the players found that there were a few problems with the idea of indoor baseball that no one had anticipated.
The first time the players took the field and worked out, they made a horrifying discovery. Nobody could catch a fly ball.
You could not see the ball, and that was a pretty scary experience.
Yeah.
Pretty scary.
The thousands of skylights in the dome acted like a lens, smearing the sun into a blinding wall of light.
It blended in with the roof, the rafters, and everything else.
What finally happened was Jimmy Wynn lost a fly ball in the 8th or 9th inning of a very close ball game.
And I said, I got it, and
we let you have it.
They let me have it, and we looked at each other. The next thing you know, the crowd was hollering and screaming, and we heard a bang, and the ball took a hop to the center field wall, which was 406 feet away at the time.
Yeah.
The time we looked at it, the runner was at the home plate for an inside-the-park home run.
The next day, the work crews started painting the skylights to block the sun. That solved the fly ball problem, but then the specially bred grass designed to grow indoors began to die.
They were left with a dirt field that they painted green for television purposes and for the aesthetics to make it look good. But it led to a rather revolutionary change in sports, because what the eventual solution turned out to be was something called AstroTurf. And from then on, a generation or two or three of ball players complained endlessly about the AstroTurf ruining their knees.
And ultimately, it wasn't just the ball players who complained. It was the public. The Astrodome had been built to shelter the fans from Houston's terrible weather.
But when the weather's good, most people prefer to watch and play outdoor sports out of doors. So, in spite of the hoopla that surrounded the beginnings of the Astrodome, this is the end of the road. Next season, the Astros play at a new stadium downtown.
The new stadium will also be covered, but unlike the Astrodome, its roof will be able to open. The new generation of retractable roof stadiums were created to give fans what they want, a chance to see baseball outside, weather permitting. When the Astrodome opened, people thought it was a building for the ages. But it lasted just 35 years as a working ballpark and as the symbol of a big league city. Now it is little more than a white elephant with a gigantic parking lot. It's a sad come down and a demonstration of how the role of the dome has changed over time. This was no pleasure palace. Rather, it was the first great dome built purely to make a point.
The Pantheon is the supreme, tangible, touchable, visible symbol of the Roman Empire that we have.
The Pantheon was the only temple in Rome dedicated to all the gods. And it proclaimed that the Roman Empire was not just the center of civilization. It had the sanction of heaven, too.